That pile of junk mail that you've been ignoring? Yeah, we're turning that into something amazing today. Tags, journals, cards, all kinds of crafty goodness, all made from everyday bits that you would normally toss. Stick around and see how much fun it is to turn throwaways into junk journal treasure. Hi, it's time once again for coffee, crafting, and no cats with the Ginger Cat Lady. I'm Pam, and Harley, well, California, Pam, Australia. Yeah, poor kitty. I miss him. Anyway, notice my wonderful hand decorations today. These are from my lovely grandson, a wrench tattoo and a seashell sticker. Yes, yeah. So this one's coming off because it's bothering me. We'll save it because it'll have to go back on later when he gets home. All right. So today is another day in the hashtag ABC April 2025 collaboration with Seven Plaza and Crafty by Toni. And it is the letter J. So J is for junk mail and other junk. So all of us get junk mail, like these little flyers that come from your local real estate agents. What else? This came from a credit card company. Um, this was given to us at the airport when we flew in. If we can save $15 when you spend $60 or more at the duty free store. Let's see what else. This, and then all of the rest of this stuff. Oh, well, we all know what this is. This is a sleeve for a Starbucks coffee cup. And then all of this, the rest of this stuff is product packaging. This had my information for my glasses when I got it. Um, these were my lounge pajamas or my lounge wear that I bought specifically for our trip. This is off a t-shirt that I got last time we were in Australia. This came from a computer bag. This came from an accounting ledger book that I bought to use ledger paper in my journals. And this came from some sort of a junk journal thing from, I think, Temu or Amazon or something like that. So everybody has junk mail, things that we would normally throw away. But because they are junk journals, then the junk mail works just perfect. So today we're going to be making some things using some of this junk, probably some tags, some journal cards, maybe a little fold out that we can add to one of my journals. So let me get this cleared up and get the rest of the materials that I need out, and we will get started. Okay, ink. And today I'm using the Distress Ink tea dye. It's one of my favorite ones. All right. A little bit more of a yellowy, orangey tone to the brown, which to me looks more like an antique color than the vintage photo. Even though that says vintage, it kind of, yeah, it doesn't, to me, doesn't look as vintagey. Okay, so there's that. And then we need to decorate our tag. Let's put the lid on the glue here, Pamela. Let's see, I have, do you want to do a butterfly or a flower? I think a flower. Ooh, yeah, okay, found the perfect one. I'm gonna use this one right here. Okay, I'm just gonna fussy cut this really quick. Okay, well, the first thing we need to do is get rid of some of the brightness inside. And we will do that with our ink dauber and on the back of this piece of paper. So I'm just going to rub, whoops, without bending it up, possibly. There we go. Okay. Just going to rub some of my tea dye on it. So it's not as bright. And now look at it on there. Doesn't that look a lot better? It's not so bright white and blinding anymore. Looks more vintagey. All right, so I think we will put this here, hanging off just a little bit, and we'll trim that part. I'm gonna do something like that. It's kind of the perfect color, isn't it? Oh, you know why it's kind of the perfect color? Because I used the tea dye Distress ink. Oh, I think I like this one better though. Yeah, the tea dye Distress watercolor pencil on that. So it's of course going to match because it is the same color. I feel like we need something else in there though too. How's that? I feel like I like that. And I'll clip this off so that the bottom of it isn't hanging out the where the labels are and stuff. What do you think? Don't have a number on there though, and I really want to. Found a number, little tiny number. How about, can we get him on here? Like so? There you go. There we go. Yes. But are we too heavy down here and not enough up there? Oh, the dilemma, I swear. Okay. If we put that there and come back with that smaller circle down here, then this can all move over a little bit. Yes. Okay. Love, love, love. Okay. Let's get some glue on these guys. I'm just going to trim the bottom part of that off. All right, and there is our first piece of altered junk. Pretty tag. I'm going to flip it over. I did not bring a hole punch to punch a hole up in the oh, but look, we have a hole. So let me find my, well, you know what? We can do it with the tweezers, I think. Just gonna poke a gentle hole there and go back over here. Make it so you can see where the hole is. And then that'll make it so that when we put the paper on the back, we can find our hole again as well. Okay, perfect. Although I did that and I don't have strings. Apparently that's the one thing I forgot to bring. So it will not be completely finished until I go back home, but at least it's got the hole, and I can put the ribbon, or not, either ribbon or string or something on it when I get home, because I forgot to bring anything like that. You know, you can't plan for every single thing. Otherwise, I would have had to have a whole nother suitcase just for crafting stuff. And I think my husband would have at that point said, "Why don't you just stay home?" You are taking way too much. All right, we'll clean that up in a minute. Okay, I'm not going to put this all the way down into the corner on this paper because the corner's kind of tore up, and I don't want that, but I do want to make sure that I line it up on one of the lines because, like I said, this is grid paper, and because it is grid paper, it has lines on it, and I do not want it to have crooked lines on the back. I don't want it to look funny. So, all right, let me flop it over, give it a nice rub on this side, and make sure that we have no wrinklies. Okay, so we have gone from a clothing tag for a t-shirt that in all reality would have normally gone into the trash can the minute that it was taken off of the clothes, to a beautiful tag that we can use in a junk journal and has some writing space on the back of it. Pretty cool, huh? All right, let's poke that hole so we know where it's at. All right, for our next one, we're going to use, this is a quick start guide from the accounting ledger book that I got as a retirement gift that I can use in junk journals. The ledger sheets I can use in my junk journals, just directions on how to use a ledger sheet. And I think what we're going to do with this one, well, I know what we're going to do with this one, is we're going to make a little collage. I have a bunch of little pieces of paper that I had already cut up when I was at home when I was making some collages. So I'm just going to go ahead and start putting some, I'm going to use my glue stick for this because I didn't bring my Nori glue with me. That would have been way too much to do. I need something to glue on so we do not make the table a mess. Okay. So I'm just going to put some glue on here and just start sticking my papers down. Now, the thing I love about doing a collage is that you can put the paper whichever direction you want. I like to hang mine off the edge and then trim it. And then that way I don't have to worry about whether I have gotten the whole thing covered up or not. I'm just going to go over the edge of this just a little bit so that it has some glue on there to overlap with. It's not a very good piece of music paper. Let's do this one that has more music on it. Maybe that's better. Except we have not glued out far enough. And let's do it on this side over here instead. I'm going to put this on upside down. And that's the thing. You can do it upside down. It does not matter. You want to overlap just a tiny bit because you don't want it to be too thick. Just enough to make sure that you don't have any color showing in between. You can do this with paper that is, you can tear the paper instead of having them cut into squares and rectangles. Squares and rectangles just give you a little bit neater of a look. You also want to make sure that you vary your colors. So notice how I have something darker here, something lighter here. I'm going to put this one over here. It has a little bit of this color, but a little bit of that color. So it's not too, actually that's a little too matchy-matchy for me. So let's get that one off of there and let's put, let's put this piece on. It's lighter. Okay, we had to do a quick battery recharge there because, or not battery recharge, but a battery swapped because the my battery said it was exhausted. It needed a nap. By the time I get done doing this, I might need one too. All right. You don't want to make the lines on these all meet up exactly in the same spots either. You want them to kind of have different heights because otherwise it will look just too uniform. So I'm going to move this one up this way just a little bit. All right, so before we can do anything on this, we need to let it dry. So I'm just going to grab my scissors and cut around the edges here. Let's use the bigger ones. And we'll let that dry. Maybe while it's drying, we can go ahead and cover the back with some coffee dye paper so that it can be used to journal on. I mean, if you're going to make a journal card, you need to make it so that they can write on it, right? So my theory is coffee dye paper on the back, unless you've got something that reads more, pattern paper that reads more as a clear paper. Okay, so let's get some glue on the back of this, and we can get some of that coffee dyed grid paper on the back. Okay, and if I was at home, I would also sew around the edges of this just to make sure that everything would stay where it belongs, but also to just give it a little bit of a more decorative edge. And the other one that I wanted to do, because I think I'd love to add this to my journal, this is something that came from Chase Bank, a flyer that came in the mail, and look at this. So it opens, it opens this way, and it's got like this little tab thingy on it, and then it flips open, and then flips open, and then you've got those sides on there too. So I was thinking of covering this and putting it in my, using it in my travel journal, because there's some, what better spots to put some journaling and some pictures of somewhere that we go and visit while we're here, huh? Cool, huh? Okay, so I left all of the paper I printed for my journal, for that journal, at home. Good job, Pamela, good job. All right, so what do we got here? We've got coffee dye. May have to go to the store and print out to the paper for my journals because I do not have any. So, okay, I really want to do this one. So we're just going to make do with what we've got and cover it in something else. Yes, we shall. Okay. I do have some papers here, though, that are more botanical. Maybe I can find something that might go with it. Maybe. Ooh. This is a strong yes. And how about that one? Okay, I don't think I want to cover the whole thing with that though, so let's open this thing up. So is it going to be overwhelming if every page has this on it? Or, because I don't want it to be too busy, what if I covered like this page and this, and then I could collage this page and this page? Yes, let's do that. Okay, so I'm going to set these off to the side for a second since we've got our collage bits all over the table. And then once we flip it over here, we will collage these two and cover these two with paper so that we have a pretty paper here on the front side. Okay, so we will work on this side first. Let me grab my jot paper pad here again and bring our papers back. All right. Now I don't want to go across the edges of this because I don't want to end up with my book or my little fold out not being able to close. So I'm just going to go as close to the edge as I can and over the bottom just a little bit. Okay, that part can dry. Oh, we're sticking to the mat or the book thingy. Let me clean some excess glue off of here. All right, that baby wipe is damp-ish, but not enough. And it looks like I have more of my paper on the screen than I do what I'm working on. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to figure out how to get this camera to go back the way I had it before so that I'm not having to have my arms, because my arms are having to stretch really far to get to where I'm at right now. Okay, now we're gonna do this section in here. All right, let's get some glue on here. I'm not going to go all the way to the edge because I don't want to get glue on the table. But what we will do once we get it glued on, I will get my Barely Arts glue out and I will go back and glue along those edges so that I don't have to worry about it not sticking down there. Yes, I like that. I like that so much better than if it was all covered in the same thing. I think that makes it stand out a little bit more. All right, let's cut this part off. I don't remember, I'm almost positive this came from, this paper came from Creative Fabrica. I do not remember who on Creative Fabrica though, so I will print that, or I will find that out and put it in the description box. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing over here, but because this one's on the end, I can trim it. So I don't have to cut the paper to be as precise. So I'm just going to stick it on here up close to the edge. Glue it down. And flip it over and cut. Okay, I'm gonna do the rest of this off camera because you don't need to see me collaging and papering and collaging and papering. And then I'll give everything a chance to dry and we'll come back and decorate in a little bit. And that'll give me a chance to charge my microphone up as well so that I don't lose sound in the middle of this. All right, I will be back in a bit. Bye. Okay, so this is dry, and while it was drying, I did a little bit of thinking and playing around and came up with the plan for the decoration. So remember to keep this up there, but then I feel like it's so far away. All right, so we're going to ink this up. And ink up all the other little pieces for this. You don't have to ink if you don't want to. I like to ink for two reasons. My first reason for inking is because my objects will then stand out, or not objects, but the different pieces that I have on my paper will stand out. So like you can see the outline of this a lot better now than you could if it was just placed on top of it. So I will show you, like with this, you can kind of see it, but watch once it's inked. So it's not only just to separate your different elements, that's the word I was looking for, elements, not just to separate your separate elements or each of your elements, but also it gives it more of that antique look as well. So, and we know we got to have some antique, inky, grungy feelings going on here. I think I'm inking my fingernail more than the paper though. All right, so remember what it looked like before and now look. You can totally see where it's at, okay? So we're going to put, let's see, I've got my writing going upside down. No, I don't. Is that right? That's right, okay. Or fake writing, whatever's on there. All right, and then this piece will go here. And I've got a label from, this one is from Michelle at Junk Journal Studio. She's got tons of really cool labels there too. And I think this is from her Days Gone By. This one I think is from Michelle too, but I'm not 100% positive on that. I would have to look. Oops. Postage stamps I got off of Creative Fabrica. If you do not have a Creative Fabrica account, I suggest getting one. It's a very nominal monthly fee, and you can download as much as you want for that fee. So I believe it's as much as you want. I mean, I download a lot of stuff, and I haven't had any extra charges or any notifications, well, you've done too much or whatever. So, and some of the people that you buy things from Etsy also have things in there as well. So. All right, and then lastly, I'm going to ink up this rose the best I can so we can get it on there, and then we will build that. And I will show you the, it's a little bit harder to ink when it's cut out, but you can't really ink it before you cut it out because then it's not cut out so that you can get to the separate pieces, you know? So, yeah, so a little more delicate, but it'll all be fine once we glue it down. You won't notice that it's cut and bendy and falling apart on you. I don't put a ton of glue on my stuff. I've seen other people that like put a lot of glue on. I just like to try and make sure that my sides are covered good and a little bit in the middle. But as long as my theory is, as long as my edges are covered good, that's all that I really care, because that's what's going to lift up when you're moving things in and out of pockets, and you don't want that to happen. So, all right, so I think I wanted this here. And then this was going to go here. And I don't remember where that's from. I printed that out a very long time ago, so I will have to look. That was there. This was over here. Yeah? Yeah. And then my flower will go right there. We'll move it a little over a little bit so we can see that a little bit better. Okay, so we'll glue this piece on. And I know it seems kind of silly when we're doing this that we cover a lot of what we're doing up. I used to think, oh my gosh, I need to be able to see every single little element. Oh my gosh, I'm going to cover it up and I'm not going to see it. But I think it's more of the concept of just the layers. I do not like that there. The concept of having the layers and then seeing them peeking through everything, you know, so you don't have to have everything completely visible. You know what I mean? Okay, so then the rose will go right on it right there. So see what I mean? You can't really see all of this tag back here, but that little bit of brown poking through down there and up there is fine. You can see a little bit of the roses there. It's just that little bit poking out that just looks special, you know? All right. I'm going to do this the way I like to do it because I've got it right where I want it. And if I did it a different way, it would move and I would not like it anymore. So I just kind of get it where I want and then I tack it down and then just start going under the edges to get everything glued down. So that means I'm not getting glue in the middle, which is perfectly fine. Like I said, you don't have to have a ton of glue in the middle. As long as you've got the edges glued down, I feel that you're good. There may be people that disagree with me. There's a lot of people that put a ton of glue on their stuff. And if that makes them comfortable, then they can do them. We all have different ways of doing things. This is just my theory. Makes my glue last longer for one thing. Plus, being a kindergarten teacher, we were always, don't use so much glue. So I'm used to not using too much glue. Again, I want to make sure that my edges are covered good because this piece is going to be going in and out of pockets, out of a pocket. So I don't want anything catching as it goes in and out of that pocket and ending tearing parts of the leaf off or anything like that. All right, so there's that one finished, all inked up and pretty, and we've got our paper on the back. There's the first one that we made, oh, all inked up and pretty. And then the last one, I have inked it up and I finished covering it. So this is the part that we did together. And then I finished on the back side, finished covering it with that paper. Okay. So I want to, and then I went ahead and inked it up too. I want to put in these seams because I don't like that you can kind of see the seams. I want to put some, oops, you cannot see it. I'm so sorry. I'm really trying to get this to stay in the frame. I want some washi. I like that. It's a little bit closer in color. These other ones are a little bit too gray for me. That one's not bad, but this one's a lot closer in color, so let's use that one. Now, because washi is meant to be temporary tape, if you want it to stay on there, you need to glue it. No, that's the last of it. All right, well, I guess on the back side we use something else because I'm not going to do just one on the back with something else. Right, I guess we're going to have to use this one if I can get it. Because I think this is the next one that's closest in colors. Hopefully this will work. All right, I'm going to fight with this off camera so I don't look like such a silly person. Okay. Oh yeah, that should be fine. Yeah, it's a lot lighter once you get it going. All right, that goes on there. Oh, and that red goes with those berries very nicely. I'm struggling with what to do on the front here because I really don't want to hide. I don't want to cover up those really, where can you see them? Those really pretty berries right there. So I think I might have come up with something, but I'm not positive. We shall see. Okay, so here's my thought on this. I was thinking, I got this nice little piece of music paper, if I can get it. There we go. Nice little piece of music paper that I was thinking of putting right there. Okay. Goodness gracious. Okay. And then I thought maybe this here. And then a pretty little butterfly over top. I'm not 100% sure about that label. Let's find one of my labels. We have this one that says identification. Let's see how that one looks. That one's not bad. Okay. I was kind of thinking something with a little bit of pinkish. I like that color with it. Okay, but I think this one might be too long. I like it with the berries, but I don't like it with the butterfly. All right, well, that solved that problem. Yes, that is the one. Let's get some ink on these. Again, I'm using my tea dye distress ink. And there is our last one. That's our fold out. Pretty cool, huh? I love it. Love, love, love. Okay, let me get cleaned up and we will take a look at what we've got and finish this up. All right, back in a few. Here are our final products. And what I'd like to do, this one I'm going to save for my travel journal, so I'm going to pull that one out. But I'd like to see if maybe we have a home for one of those. Before we do that, though, I need to stick a little glue in here because you notice my flowers are coming off. Okay. I would like to stick one of these in my journal. And I think what we'll do, I really want this to have rounded corners, so we're going to attempt rounded corners with scissors. Okay. Corners rounded, inked back up, everything glued down. I don't know if I want to stick this in a pocket or if I want to just kind of make it into like a floating journal card. Oh, no, that's too small of a spot for it right there. If you see anything in here that I have made, you can, everything that's in this book is in my 100-day project playlist. So you can see how I made the journal cards, how I made the journal, everything. So just go back and check my 100-day playlist. Oh, evidence of Harley. There's little teeth marks there. Oh, that boy. Do you see him? That boy. Oh my goodness. Okay. I don't think... Where's my flashcards? Let's give this a little bit of ink. I want paper underneath it. Okay, so I want to stick it under this flap right here, but we will turn that into a little side pocket there, or a side tuck. Ink. But I want to get some ink on the edge of it first. But what we're going to do now is we're going to run a bead of glue down here on the bottom. If you could see the bottom. Can you see the whole journal? There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm just going to run a bead of glue down here on the bottom and a bead of glue up here on the top. And now we have a nice little tuck or pocket that our journal card can fit into. All right. And there you have it. A handful of junk turned into something beautiful, functional, and totally unique. So before you toss that mail or product tag, pause and ask yourself, could this be junk journal gold? If you enjoyed today's adventure, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, may your scraps be endless and your glue never run dry. See you in the next one. Bye.